Well, hello and ho 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 once again with another Christmas drone. I have to say this one intrigued me. Made by JGRC again and coming from the good folks at geekbuying.com. This is kind of interesting because why? It's the flying egg. Now, when you think of Christmas and the things involved with Christmas, presents, Santa, turkey, meals, getting drunk, laying around, watching a Bond film, somewhere around, I don't know, 165th on the list, you might think of an egg. It's almost like Christmas went to Easter and said, hey, screw you, Easter Bunny, you haven't got dibs on the egg, we're having it. So I was incredibly intrigued by the fact that you've got the world famous Christmas egg for your drone for Christmas. So let's have a look what's in the box. Another neatly packaged thing, containing of course the instructions. We have the regular charging USB cable, a prop remover and a spare set of props. We have the controller. This is quite interesting because it works as a kind of sensor, a G sensor thing. So you go like this. I think this then works as up and down and you move this around. We'll obviously have a good test of that soon. And this is the egg. The Christmas egg, of course. The famous Christmas egg. And it has got a little Wi-Fi FPV camera there that you should be able to hook up to an app. I think the idea is to get a Christmas selfie, I guess. Why not? What's interesting about this one is the way the props come out. There's a little button at the bottom, and if you press it, ta-da! Props. Underslung little props. This is going to be an interesting thing to fly. But hey, let's not wait, let's get on and fly it. Okay, so we've got the little Christmas egg, just about ready to fly it, but I thought first I'd talk about what the controls do, and I'm going to fly it with this G sensor, as they call it first. So how this works is you hold it flat and you go forwards, backwards, left, right. The stick here acts as throttle up, throttle down, and midpoint it should hold the height. Left and right are the yaw. As far as the buttons go, this alters your rates. There's 3 different rates. You've then got these 4 buttons. This top one is headless mode. This right one is calibration, where you have to hold down for 2 seconds. This one turns the lights on and off, and this bottom one is the emergency stop. So let's press the button at the bottom. It's about ready to fly. So let's power this on by hitting the button there. That's flashing away. Let's put it on a flat surface. You then turn the controller on. Move stick up and down and it flashes as I say it's ready. I would then suggest always holding down the calibration button for 2 seconds just so you know it's on a flat surface. Now the way I actually suggest you fly this is in headless mode. So I'm going to press this button here. That's headless mode. So let's take off. Take off, you actually press this button in to get it going. So, I'm holding the controller, and as you see, if I move it that way or that way, it moves with me. This is actually on the lowest setting in terms of rates go. The higher rate can be quite heavy for just this. Now, the reason I say fly this in headless mode is if you've done any traditional flying before, it's very tricky to use this stick to go forwards and do turning. So in headless mode, it doesn't matter. I can turn it any way I like and it will just spin around. I can just do that. So you see it does a pretty good job of holding its height. I'm not really touching the stick and I can just use this one hand to sort of correct it as it goes. It's losing a little bit of height there, sinking a bit, but it's not too bad. I think using this should be okay for framing up pictures and that, which is kind of the idea. So let's try moving to the app and see what happens. Bring it down again. So if you've ever used this sort of device before, you'll be familiar with it. The quad makes its own little Wi-Fi hotspot. You just have to connect into it and then go to the app that's provided and connect to it. So let's say record. Now I'm interested to know, can you still fly it with this at the same time? The answer is yes. So this is weird. I'm looking at my screen, but using the G sensor. It's quite a narrow field of view, but you know, there I am. So you can kind of FPV this, but it's really about lining up to get the shot you want, which is kind of like this. Let's land it together. So you can also, of course, fly it with this, and you've got your traditional sticks. So after putting it on the floor several times, it seems like gravity sensor here means this control. I thought you'd be able to use the accelerometer in the phone, but as far as the phone goes, you've got the traditional methods of control. So yeah, you can take off and then you're using this sort of thing, which is frankly not as easy, and without any tactile feedback I do find it quite tricky to fly. Certainly not impossible, and you've still got headless mode, but not as easy. Yeah, so my favourite combination is to use the gravity sensor. Let me just recalibrate. Lights off, lights on, headless. And just use this for framing up. Let's see if we can actually take a photo. That's the photo button there. So spinny roundies, round over there. There's me. Ready for that photo. I don't know what that looked like. Let's get it back of it. Bring it up to the ceiling a little bit more. Am I anywhere near in shot? No. Camera seems to be quite flat. Didn't do backlighting particularly well. Take a picture. Take a picture. Going in. Hello. You can't really wave, you have to go like this. Hello. And that's it, out of battery. Well, that was interesting. And there's quite a lot to like about it. I like the fact, for example, these pop out, and as you probably suspect, you can just push these in and they click back. So quite portable and easy to put away because you haven't got any props in the way, so you just chuck it in a bag and stuff. I also really quite like this controller. I mean, obviously I'm used to a proper controller, but this wasn't bad at all. The leaning it around wasn't overly sensitive, so that was quite easy, and it held its height reasonably well, which makes it quite easy to sort of fly for someone who's not flown before. I didn't find it was particularly easy to fly as a normal quad, so without headless mode, that was quite tricky. And certainly this was much trickier to fly just as it is than a regular quad because of that. And I don't know about the egg shape or something, but that didn't seem particularly happy if it wasn't absolutely perfect. That's why I say calibrate it every time, else it might just fall over. It did stand up to crashes. When I was trying to figure out if there was an accelerometer control in the phone, I was literally doing this and the thing was hitting the floor and the walls and all sorts. No damage whatsoever, which is good. Another little feature I like is this little charge port. Rather than having to take the battery out, it's got it there and you just plug on in, which is nice. So as a Christmas drone then, I mean, it's not really very Christmas themed. Compare it to the Santa I did last time, which was a proper Christmas thing. This is just a flying egg with a picture of a reindeer on it, but as a Christmas gift, yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of weird. I mean, the video it takes is not bad. The photos it takes are okay. I mean, I had backlit there, so it wasn't the best environment to take photos. But it does an okay job. I mean, it's a bit more expensive. It's about £30. But you get a little bit for it, and it's quite interesting. So it might be something you want to think about as a Christmas gift for somebody. Who can tell? And the fact it comes with a reindeer on is, you know, bonus. And if you don't like it, you can scribble over it with a Sharpie or something. I guess the thing to say about these, sometimes they're referred to as selfie drones. It seems to be the one thing that's really hard to do, just take a selfie. Because, I don't know if you know, but I had the controller in one hand and the phone in the other, and I was trying to sort myself out, and I couldn't then do this because then it would have gone mental, and I had to have my thumb on the phone. So it's a way of taking pictures of other people, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a good way of taking photos of yourself. Obviously it's very tiny and little as well, so it's not going to be particularly well outside unless you're on a really very, very calm day indeed, so watch out for that. Anyway, as before with the Centra, and this came from geekbuying.com, so thanks for them for sending it along, and of course the link's down there below should you want to check one out. But for now, Merry Christmas when we eventually get there, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.